Hey everybody, welcome to another World of Tanks replay. This time we're watching Helsor play. He's in the Churchill, the Lend-Lease Churchill at tier 5. Of course, the one that gets preferential matchmaking, carries a 6-pounder gun, very strong tank. And he has ended up on Highway from the North Spawn. Obviously he's going to go city, but on the way out of the base, because he's in a Churchill that shoots very quickly and carries a shit ton of ammo, he's knocking down as much cover around his friendly cap as he possibly can. The reason being that these destructible buildings serve only to shield the enemy if they get on the cap, and if you don't knock these down, you could potentially lose the game because of it. Now, in most tanks, it's not worth wasting the ammunition. You just try and run the buildings over as you leave spawn and leave it at that. But in the case of the Churchill, you've got so much ammo and your gun fires so quickly, there's no reason not to do it. It also allows you to knock over the cover while you're on the move, like Helsor's doing here. About half of his team heads off to the field. Mostly medium tanks, but they have some tank destroyers in support. Now, of course, there's plenty of SU-100Ys in this match because the 100Y was given out for free as a reward for logging in 60 days in a row. So there's a lot of pubbies that have now got 100Ys from that and are playing them. So there's 2 on Helsor's team and 3 on the enemy team. Now, the SU-100Y is an extremely strong tank destroyer. When it's in a tier 6 or even tier 7 match, it has an enormous gun. It lacks armor, its mobility is quite poor, but the gun just deletes tanks. You can one-shot tier 4s and I think even many tier 5s. The 100Y also has the interesting distinction of being one of the few tanks in the game where the gold round has less pen than the regular round, but has more alpha. Helsor finally arrives in the city along with most of the accompanying tanks. And right away the enemy are also coming in. Helsor waits until they're actually spotted by his teammates before deciding what to do. If he just careened around that corner, he would have got a 100Y shell to the face, which would have taken most of his hit points. Instead, he backs off and lets it occupy itself with his teammates while he handles the Sherman over here. Easy 8s and defilade, there's no point shooting at it from up here, he can deal with it later. The 85B is a serious threat, so removing it before the Covenanter makes plenty of sense, and then Helsor's able to knock down the Covenanter's cover and finish it off as well. The enemy force in the city has actually been quite roundly whooped, so they begin to fall back. However, they're now flanked by Helsor, who is able to kill the T-3485 before it can even get a shot at him, which is odd because I'm sure it would have been loaded. The 100Y goes down to the Cromwell, and Helsor then starts beating up on the Easy 8. Now, you might notice the reticle is nowhere to be seen. The reason for this is because Helsor uses the auto-aim mod that allows it to lock onto things by just mousing over them, which is a handy mod. You know, I'm sure inevitably somebody will go, ooh, it's a cheat, ooh, it's unfair. Mostly what it does is prevent the nasty situations I run into a lot where the game doesn't register your click, and so you fail to lock something. It also makes it very handy as you're coming around a corner. Helsor gives his team some sage advice, which they promptly ignore. They were very lucky in this instance that the enemy tanks actually turned around to fight them and didn't all pile onto their cap. When your gun fires as quickly as the Churchill, there's no reason not to just keep firing after something goes unspotted. And sure enough, it actually works out. Helsor's able to kill the Wolverine. The enemy team are down to just 3 tanks, one of whom has not been spotted during the course of the match. And as Helsor's teammates get onto the cap, the enemy are baited into the open from it. First the Hellcat. And then the Churchill. Unlucky bounce there off the back of the Hellcat's turret. And the enemy KV-85 is cowering up in the corner of the map. Also, I'm going to agree with Helsor here, the SU-100Y is fantastic. I don't know what this puppy's talking about. KV-85 finally makes himself known and rolls along the ridge line, only to get eaten alive by Helsor's 6-pounder gun. A good demonstration of how to Churchill 3, W plus mouse 1. It's also a good demonstration of one of the advantages of very high rate of fire guns. You can just fire all day and not care about it as long as you have a decent ammo count, which of course the Churchill does. So it makes it very good for not only pushing on people because you can just fire and move and not really care, but also very, very good for destroying people's cover and for targeting areas where you know there are tanks that are unspotted, and you know you could probably hit them if you just put enough shells in the air. So all told, good match, good example of how this tank works, and a good example of pubbies disliking good tanks because they can't make it work for them, which is more to do with the fact they're pubbies than the fact that there's anything wrong with the tank. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, thank you very much for watching, and as ever, I'll catch you on the next one.